Hello, I'm Kamala Roberts, and welcome to Zing TV's New York Links, your local news and entertainment program from New York City to the world. We're here at City Hall, where a protest by healthcare workers took place earlier this week. Members of Union 1199 SEIU rallied in Lower Manhattan in the City Hall district to protest Governor Paterson's proposed cut to the healthcare system. They feel these cuts will leave New York State with less workers, longer waiting lines at healthcare facilities, and a dramatic reduction of service for patients. At the same time, there's a battle brewing between Mayor Bloomberg and Governor Paterson over money budgeted to the state in President Obama's stimulus package for healthcare.
Hi, I'm Gemma here at the rally at City Hall with close to 50,000 people here opposing the proposed budget cut for home health care.
Jamás será vencido el pueblo unido, jamás será vencido el pueblo unido, jamás será vencido.
People are gathered here to make sure that their voice is being heard, to make sure that the working poor and others that are vulnerable, those being children and seniors, get a fair share in the budget cut.
I have a parent who's up here with me, Carmen Roland, who has kids in our public school in every single level. She's here today because she knows it makes a difference to be on the street and to make our voices heard.
Concerned New Yorkers propose that such severe cuts should be made to the $7 billion worth of tax breaks for the rich, as opposed to the working poor and the senior citizens and vulnerable children that are attending New York's public schools.
I believe that the mayor has to understand, and the state has to understand as well, that our children and education comes first. It is our priority. It is our future. I have my little son out here that who goes to a public school in Brooklyn, 268 in the district. And I brought him out here to understand that we all have to fight to make sure that he has a positive education. And so for me, as I continue to run for city council, I will clearly want people to understand that we have to make sure that education remains the priority of New York City and its residents. If we don't do that, my son and every other student who lives in Brooklyn, lives in New York City, will not have the right to a proper education.
A fair share!
A fair share, tax the rich, that's right.
Affordable CUNY tuition!
All right. The purpose of today's rally was to answer the proposed healthcare budget cut that Governor Paterson has proposed. He must use the Medicaid funds in the stimulus bill as they were intended on the Medicaid beneficiaries and the institutions that serve them, as opposed to making massive cuts to the health care that will undoubtedly lead to layoffs, elimination of services in departments, and the shutting down of facilities, in addition to the Queens hospitals that filed for bankruptcy not only 2 weeks ago.
I know that we all know that there's a financial crisis, but we have to use other alternatives to save the critical services that we are providing to the people that we are serving. We have to protect the healthcare system. We know health is very important for the people in New York. We have to make sure that we give access to quality healthcare. We have to make sure that we improve the education of the children. We have to make sure that we keep the jobs, and we have to make sure that we protect our families. I don't think the cuts are beneficial for New York.
In confronting a budget deficit of historic proportions, Governor Paterson is defending his proposal by stating that he only intends to reduce the speed in the growth of Medicaid by shifting those funds for primary care towards preventative health care programs.
We need to be here in order for the best interests of all of New Yorkers and basically the United States of America to be taken to the attention of the people who are not familiar with what's taking place right now. What's happening is the working class people are being put out to pasture, and the people of special interests are taking advantage of the tax cuts that were utilized by the administration of George Bush. We need to make sure that Obama is not the only person that's pushing this. We need to work with him. So in order to push this, we have to work together. So we're all here with the teachers, with the Teamsters, and with DC 37 at 1199, the Healthcare Workers Union, to see to it that every working class person gets a fair share.
We're here with Dominic Solo, what do you have to say about the proposed budget cuts?
The budgets should be in respect for the rights of people, not corporations.
Close to 50,000 people gathered here today to put their opinions out in the general public to make sure they know that the budget cuts are to be made for the city's rich, not the working poor, nor the city's most vulnerable, that being our senior citizens and children. We want you to stay tuned to make sure that the budget cuts will be affecting the appropriate people.